Ulster.
Okay, Morris, Ryan, thank you very much indeed. Connacht have only won once in the last 14 encounters against Ulster, but I fancy this is going to be a close one. Sit back and enjoy some Saturday night Ulster Rugby Live. Our commentaries are Tony McWhirter and Jim Neely.
Well, the Ulster side, just 3 changes all up front. Tom Court plays his first game of the season. Likewise, Ian Henderson, albeit in the second row. And Chris Henry returns to the back row at open side flanker. Same back division for Ulster. Paddy Jackson and Ian Porter stay at half back. David McElwain and Michael Allen on the wings. And the rabble Jared Payne at full back. Somewhere in the region of 4,000 to 4,500 people here in the sports ground at Galway. There's the Connacht skipper, Michael Swift, who seems to have been around forever. A couple of interesting additions to the Connacht side this year. Craig Clark, the 30-year-old, the former skipper of the Waikato Chiefs, is in the second row. And in the back row, wearing number 6, is Jake Heenan, who's the former captain of the junior All Blacks. John Muldoon, that great servant, won his 200th Connacht cap a week ago. Behind the scrum, well, Dan Parks and Kieran Marmion stay. Only one change. Fionn Carr, who had a 2-year dalliance with Leinster in Dublin, comes back to Connacht. And there's a lot of pace there with Robbie Henshaw and Owen Griffin in the middle of the park. And Gavin Duffy, 10 times cap for Ireland at fullback. Referee this evening is the man who refereed the PRO12 final in the RDS in Dublin last May. And is John Healy, the former Munster, John Lacey, I should say, the former Munster wing 3/4. And Dan Parks, who needs 4 points to reach 1,500 in this league, gets it underway. Ulster spilled the ball, but at least it went backward. Ian Porter inside his 22. John Lacey saying he was inside. Paddy Jackson with the kick. Down to Gavin Duffy, now 32 years of age and still plenty of spring in those legs. Good tackling by Ulster and by Ian Henderson in the middle of all of that. Back in the Connacht side. That looked like a high tackle from Roger Wilson. Referees let it go. Parks, well, there's a bit of an overlap here if Connacht can spring something. Fionn Carr has come in from his wing. Penalty against Connacht for not releasing in the tackle.
Interesting start, Jim. Unusual to see Johan Muller make a mistake from a kick-off as well, but nicely tidied up by Chris Henry, who again find himself in the right place at the right time.
Bit out of the range of Paddy Jackson. So Ulster, with a typically swirling wind here at the sports ground in Galway. There's an awful lot of rain and mist as we approached Athlone on the way down this morning. Jackson hasn't found his touch, and Dan Parks keeps it infield. Jackson, little touch backward, and again Ian Porter kept that low, good trajectory, but meat and drink to Gavin Duffy. Now where's he going? Not too far. Well tackled by Ulster. That nearly came back on the Ulster side. Marmion starting his 25th successive game in this league. That was a forward pass, surely. Good work by the Connacht pack. Marmion again. Parks gets it to Muldoon. Still there with Connacht. Ulster's press defence working reasonably well at the moment. But the important thing for Connacht is that they've kept the ball and they've now managed to lose it. Henderson takes it forward. Referee is playing advantage to Ulster. Porter, Muller gets it away. Wilson, a lot of forwards there. Nick Williams, good pass by Williams. This is Payne. Good Connacht covering. Ulster 10 metres away. Jackson. Tom Court needs to make sure he presents the ball. And he has. Porter again. Jackson. Cut out pass. Well picked up by Luke Marshall. Connacht trying to squeeze Ulster toward the near touchline. Porter again. A poor pass, and Tom Court at 6'2" couldn't quite get down to it, but despite the mistakes, encouraging stuff from Ulster.
Yeah, it certainly is, Jim, but that's the composure that Ryan's talking about beforehand. Once Ulster get into that red zone of the Connacht 22, it's important that they keep the ball, go through the phases with accurate passing and good handling. Mistake there and the advantage goes back to Connacht.
From the first scrum of the evening, John Lacey will bring them together. All sorts of fun and games in some of the games last night, where the three-phase encounter simply didn't work. Tom Court on the loose head side up against the former Leinster player, Nathan White, the New Zealander.
8 down, 8 down. No, I'm not accepting that head-on square. I want it in the slots. We agreed that in the dressing room. Let's go.
John Lacey's broken them up because he's not happy with where they're putting their heads before the signal to bind is given. It's the enormous fellow in the second row with Michael Swift, 6'7" tall. Craig Clark. What sort of a difference will he make to the Connacht scrummage? Well, they bound nice and cleanly. There's the set. In it goes. Good squeeze by Ulster. Connacht really dug in. Good work by Ulster. The Connacht front rows come up, but the referee's happy. Parks. What a good kick by Parks. Nothing that Jared Payne could do about that. Thoughts on the first scrum, Tony?
Yeah, nice and steady, Jim. It's something I think that we'd like to see continue as the game goes on. Referee made an early decision to separate them and let them reset. Good square hit, people staying on their feet, and the ball cleared.
And cleared splendidly by Dan Parks. This is Rob Herring starting his third consecutive league game. Lacey not happy about something. I think the spacing at the line-out, they've got to be a metre apart. Michael Swift, not the tallest second row in the world, but he's all muscle and aggression. Nick Williams opposite him. Great take by Henderson. Porter. That is not a good pass. Well taken though by Luke Marshall. Second attempt by Porter. That's better. Here's Henderson. Better stuff by Ulster. Cave, nicely done to McElwain, who's come in off the right wing. Good release by Ulster. Court gives it to Swift. Great chance now for Connacht if they can shift this. All cleverly done between the legs. Here go Connacht. It's Matt Healy, who's shown lots of pace at the start of the season, and his pass to Gavin Duffy was forward. And that shows you make one little error and you're going to get yourself punished.
It does, Jim. Two very, very quick lines of defence by both teams. Tom Court put under pressure there and the ball spilled, but Connacht have certainly shown their intent early on. They're going to use full width of this pitch tonight, and Ulster are going to have to be very much on their guard.
Well, some very nice acrobatics by John Muldoon, playing game number 201 for Connacht. And the pass from Matt Healy to Gavin Duffy, from a Connacht perspective, did not go to hand. 6 minutes played, no score here at the sports ground. It is a lovely evening, but the wind is swirling all over the place, so no real advantage. Court, surprise call up to the British and Irish Lions tour. Played one game against the Melbourne Reds to become a fully fledged Lion. Early engagement by Ulster. Free kick to Connacht. They may well go for the scrum. Michael Swift will make that decision, and he's gone for the scrum. Right decision?
I think so. John Lacey's obviously going out here, Jim, initially to set his marker down hard from the start. He's going to be hard on both teams, but fair. I think we'd like to see the scrum be crisp and be clean. Let's get the ball in and get it away, and I don't think he's going to take too much messing about from either of these front rows.
Interesting, he's come round to the open side where Nathan White's against Tom Court. He's assuming that Declan Fitzpatrick and Brett Wilkinson will sort themselves out. Well, the bind looks good. Good Connacht scrum. Marmion, Parks. Robbie Henshaw very nearly getting through, but it's been set up nicely for Connacht. There goes the new fella, Jake Heenan, only 21 years of age. Still there for Connacht. Parks, sweet pass. Interception by Luke Marshall. And he's knocked it forward, but there's an advantage to Connacht. And they will take full advantage, I'm sure. Henry made the tackle. Marmion gets it away. Parks. Heenan again. Swift. Good tackle by Roger Wilson. And also get the penalty. Connacht taking the ball out of the tackle, and I think it was the aforementioned Connacht skipper Michael Swift. Entertaining stuff.
Yeah, great clean out from Willie Falloon just earlier in that move, Jim. Someone that the Ulster fans will know well. But again, plenty of intent from Connacht, which is good to see, ball in hand.
Paddy Jackson makes his touch, about 20 metres or so. One of the 8 Ulster players on the preliminary Irish training squad for the Autumn Internationals. New Irish coach Joe Schmidt and his assistant Les Kiss are here in the ground this evening. First shortened Ulster line out of the evening. Awful. Away goes Jason Harris, right, formerly of Leinster. Owen Griffin. Oh, there's a break, and it's Willie Falloon gets away. Good tackle by Jared Payne on his former teammate. Parks. Connacht must move this. If they do, they're going to get in. Here's Fionn Carr trying to get round Rob Herring. Good aggressive stuff by Carr. Connacht within touching distance now of that Ulster line, looking for the opening score. Robbie Henshaw. Well tackled by Johan Muller, Ulster's captain. Heenan picks it up and goes route one. No way through. Ulster have got their men back in the right defensive areas. Marmion, Willie Falloon, who a year ago captained Connacht in Belfast against his old side Ulster. This is Clark, the enormous New Zealander. Well away by Nathan White. Connacht still pressing. Parks has a little go himself, and he's got there. Well, he was only half held, and you cannot half hold Parks. A couple of Ulster tight forwards just didn't simply put him to ground, and Connacht get the opening try, and it's Dan Parks, and that takes his Celtic League tally to pass 1,500 points.
Ulster just struggling a minute, Jim, to get their pillars and posts in position, and it came from an initial break again from Willie Falloon, and Parks again has made inroads, stepping back inside, attacking the ruck again, and Ulster just failing to make the tackles. Elementary miss there from Declan Fitzpatrick, and Dan Parks does enough just to stretch over and take the score.
Well, he's not going to give any of the Jamaican Olympic sprinters too many sleepless nights in terms of his ability to cover the ground, but he knew exactly what the weight of the line was, and two poorish Ulster attempts to bring him down.
Just blood in his knee there, okay, so time it.
This is also Parks' 20th league try. Jason Harris, right, I think is leaving the field to get a little bit of attention. Might just be a blood injury though. So Parks to add the conversion to his own splendid try. And he does just that. The Dutch judges had a good look at it, but their flags eventually went up, and here it is again. One missed tackle, two missed tackles.
It's going to be a long night for Ulster if they don't get the inside defence tightened up quite quickly, Jim. Connacht have made an attempt early on to stretch the ball wide, and now once the ball is getting wide, it's them that are getting the people into position to attack the ruck. Ulster are struggling to get the forwards there.
Well, the sun has come out here at the sports ground and is shining into Ulster eyes, and Paddy Jackson, perhaps because of that, has put the ball directly into touch, and that gives all sorts of advantages back to Connacht. They have positional advantage now, and they've got the possession.
We won't rush.
Connacht, I think, have brought on a replacement at hooker. It's the former Munsterman Sean Henry. Played 7 league games for Munster. He's played the opening 2 games for Connacht as a replacement for Jason Harris-White, who's off at the minute, getting some attention, I think. There's Willie Falloon, who showed a fair old turn of speed there, legging it for the Ulster line. Better scrum. A good squeeze by Connacht. Solid, picked up by Muldoon. Now Marmion. Good tackle by Paddy Jackson. Again, Connacht give away the penalty at the breakdown, and by my reckoning that's at least the third, Tony.
Yeah, it's the third one, Jim. Again, good work by Chris Henry and Nick Williams. But again, Connacht look very comfortable, don't they, at scrum time? Nice and steady, balls coming back, nice channel 1, channel 2 as the scrum half dictates. But again, Ulster managing to get more mentally breakdown that time, and a good decision by the referee.
Jackson again going for position, and that's a better kick. So Paddy Jackson has put Ulster into a pretty decent position. On the left, as we look at it, Joe Smith. On the right with the specs, Les Kiss. Again, Ulster has shortened the line out to just 5 men. That's better. Muller took it, now it's Porter. Thought about having a go himself. Nick Williams taken off at the ankles. Michael Allen in from his wing. Now it's Jackson. Good pass. Gerald Payne. David McElwain looking for his first Ulster try. Better stuff by Ulster. Back to Roger Wilson. Ferocious tackle on the Irish international. Still there for Ulster. Porter, nicely done. Here's Jackson. Has a go himself. Good work by Jackson. Could do with some help. Now he gets it. Now Porter gets it away. Connacht hand in the way. Referee's given the penalty. Darren Cave. Ball was knocked forward by Connacht. Paddy Jackson. Luke Marshall. Pretty close to the Connacht line. Ulster doing all the pressing. Jackson. Payne. Michael Allen. That's the try. No need to go upstairs. Good finish by Michael Allen. More than made up for the mess he made of a gilt-edged chance last week, but his confidence is still there.
Super set of soft hands here by Jared Payne, Jim, as well. Just giving the ball in one movement. But what's very impressive for me, Ian Porter's service from 9 lovely and crisp. He's not taking a step out of the ball. Nice clean ball from the forwards and it's whipped away. And again, Luke Marshall does what he does brilliantly, which is hitting the ball flat, taking it to the gain line, and super hands from Jared Payne.
Yeah, that's Michael Allen's third league try. So he's 22 years of age. And here's his former Methodist College Schools Cup winning teammate, Paddy Jackson, to bring Ulster back to level terms. It was the response that was required, and it was the response that was produced. Well, it looks pretty straightforward, but there is a treacherous wind swirling around the sports ground here. That needs to come in, and he's just pushed it to the far side of the post. So just over 15 minutes played, and it's Connacht 7 and Ulster 5.
Nice composure from Ulster there, Jim, and second time they've got into the Connacht 22. An advantage played from a deliberate offside, and they've just hold on to the ball and go through the phases. They can't break this Connacht defence open, and it's nice to see them not panic, just regaining their composure.
Well, there's the man who got the opening try on the conversion, Dan Parks. He's given that a thumb, hasn't he? Taken in by Payne. Decides, no, he doesn't decide what to do. Connacht closed them down very quickly, but the ball coming back on the Ulster side. It's inside the 22. Porter kicks. Matt Healy waits. Gives it to Duffy. He's made 10 pretty good metres. Marmion on the narrow side, that looked forward, and it's gone into touch.
It's fine. Good decision.
John Lacey, the referee, said good decision to somebody. I'm not quite sure what that meant.
Just about. Yeah, I agree.
So Ulster's line out. Rob Herring, who played in the Tbilisi Cup in Georgia during the summer for the emerging Ireland side. Porter.
Stop, winger, stop!
Well,
stop!
David McElwain was in front. You could hear John Lacey say several times, stop, winger. You've got to be behind the man who kicks the ball. And David McElwain, greyhound-like, was out of the traps far too early. Pretty obvious, Tony.
Yeah, it was quite obvious. Again, just getting that yard ahead, and clear call from the referee, but just intent on tracking the ball down, and Ulster just giving away that advantage, receiving the ball from the kick-off, and Connacht are straight back on the attack.
There was a long way out, even for somebody as prolific and as accurate as Parks. There's John Lacey, former Munster wing three-quarter, now 39 years of age. Connacht have gone for the kick to touch and the subsequent line out. This is Sean Henry. Bit of a challenge from Ulster, didn't really work out, because Healy came in off his wing. And he too has made good ground. Aggressive driving by Healy. Marmion, Michael Swift. Good tackle by Jackson once again. Parks looking for support inside, very nearly got through. Closed down by Ulster's captain, Johan Muller. Connacht on the front feet, Marmion again. Again, Ulster just closing down. And Ulster turned it over. Here's Gerald Payne. Well, that was good work on the ground by Ulster. And Payne's kick is perfect. Duffy back inside his 22. And he's outside his 22. So if they kick this, Ulster could regain possession. Well done by Carr. Tackle by Muller. Marmion. Parks. Hint of an overlap here. Ulster need to get men out wide. This is good work. First of all by Owen Griffin. Marmion on the narrow side yet again. Muldoon in there somewhere. Chris Henry stretched and made the tackle. Marmion again. Sean Henry. Marmion. Nick Williams a bit slow to get up there. It's all Connacht. Spilled backward. Nick Williams told to get away from it, and he does just that. That's gone loose. Ulster have the advantage. Referee says play on. Good chance this Ulster can shift this. Henry. That was, in fact, it was Roger Wilson. Ball went backward. Good support play from Cave. Well, he's done really well to get down and up with the ball. Porter, Luke Marshall. Saw a bit of a gap. And where's that going to go? Might go dead for the 22. And it hasn't, and Matt Healy decides to kick. And he's kicked pretty well.
Stop the clock, please. Head injury.
Referee has asked for the clock to be stopped because of a head injury. I think it's Owen Griffin, the Connacht centre. Don't think there was anything untoward involved. So Owen Griffin, under 20 international, made his Connacht debut at 18 years of age. Not altogether sure why the referee is, I suppose, just for safety reasons. Yeah,
I think so. Nice turnover by Luke Marshall from the Connacht attack, Jim, just on the edge of the Ulster 22. And he took a bit of a clatter to the head as well and found himself momentarily out of defensive system, and Connacht attack down the Ulster left. But Connacht seem very intent on playing to the blind side. They're creating a short 10 or 15 metre space on the Ulster left, on the Ulster right hand side, and are using that well to breach the gain line and widening the pitch. And then once Luke Marshall gets himself back in play, lovely relieving kick which Munster then Connacht put into touch. But Ulster just probing here, not really managing to maintain or get much of the ball at the minute, and they're doing a lot of defending. So it's important that they step up in terms of their defensive effort, try and instigate more turnovers and get some ball for the backs.
Well, it all starts with this line out. We're into the second quarter of this game. Connacht leading by 7 points to 5 at the sports ground. Well back by Ulster. Porter has a little dart. Needs some support. Chris Henry's got in front of him, but is not interfering. Tom Court. Well released.
Stay up now, 7.
Good driving on by Ulster, by Declan Fitzpatrick. Here goes Nick Williams. Ulster rumbling toward the 22. Chris Henry. Porter, good switch. Back to Jackson. Payne. Oh, dummied to kick and then kept possession. Now he's been well tackled by Brett Wilkinson, another Connacht veteran. Henderson.
Off your feet, 7.
Back on Ulster's side. Well taken by Luke Marshall. Cave, well away by Cave. Roger Wilson. Down to Michael Allen. What a thumping tackle that was by Owen Griffin. Nothing wrong with his head now, you'll have to say. Porter. Jackson. Payne. Not a lot of room out there. Connacht have shut Ulster's midfield down pretty effectively. Declan Fitzpatrick went in there quickly, and the ball has been lost by Ulster. Now can Connacht capitalise? Here's the very dangerous Robbie Henshaw. Couldn't get it away. Play on, says the referee. It was Connacht who knocked it forward. Herring sets it up. Jackson, bit static.
Advantage over.
Wilson again. No way through. Again, good work by Robbie Henshaw. Porter. Jackson. Looked to pass inside. Parks was nearly blocking very cleverly on Declan Fitzpatrick. Porter. Henderson. Oh, pretty clumsy by Ulster. Henderson and Wilson getting in each other's way. And that's going to be a Connacht scrum.
Also look struggling, Jim, just to basically generate some quick ball. On the opposite side of that, Connacht are not committing anybody to the breakdown. They're sending an attacker, maybe one other, to try and compete quickly for the ball. If it's not there to be won, they're quite happy to give up possession, spread the line, and let Ulster attack. And then whenever it is the right opportunity, they're stepping in and making the turnover. And Ulster just conceding both possession and territory here.
So you reckon tactically Connacht are getting this just about right?
I think, yeah, Connacht looked really switched on. They were here an awful long time before the game. They've spent basically 15 or 20 minutes doing quite a lot of live scrummaging against another set of forwards that were here as well. So they're certainly here not to make up the numbers. And I think Connacht rugby hasn't been like that for the last 2 or 3 years either. And they certainly feel that they can get something out of this game tonight.
Well, Ulster lost here a couple of years ago, but that was the first time they went down in Galway since 2005. And Ulster have dominated this fixture down the years, but the gap is closed. And apart from that Ulster romp last year at the end of the season, epitomised by Andrew Trimble's extraordinary try, which was voted the try of the year for the PRO12 league. Connacht bench, who I'm sure will be employed later on in the game. In the middle of that, George Maupu, who scored the opening try for Connacht here a year ago, or towards the end of last season I should say, last time Ulster came to the West. 23 minutes gone, 2 points between them, a 2-point advantage to Connacht. Well, both sets of front rows getting the correct bind, and Connacht get the ball in and stuck there. Well hooked by Sean Henry. Muldoon on the narrow side. This could be interesting. There goes Marmion. Tries to get outside Allen. Gets it to Fionn Carr, who is still very quick. Good covering by Henderson. Well, all the rugby is getting played at the moment by Connacht. Parks moves it wide. Cave came up a bit too quickly. Owen Griffin's got away.
Ball's out.
Still there for Connacht. Henshaw. Duffy sweeps it away to Healy, who's had a very good start to this season.
Stay wide. Hold there now.
Marmion. Nathan White. Sean Henry, his hooker. Quicker release now by Connacht. Parks has a glance, looking for Fionn Carr. Well taken by Michael Allen. He'd called for the fair catch, I think, and he's been given it. Little tap. Luke Marshall. Now that's going to find touch, which means a Connacht line out, but Ulster have cleared their lines. It was good work by Michael Allen.
Super take in the air as well. Got himself up so he couldn't be tackled and managed to hold on to it and claim the fair catch. He'll be very happy with that. He's looked very impressive again, Jim, barring that drop pass against Glasgow. He's bristling. He's a lot of pace to his game. He goes looking for work, and certainly I think you can see he's benefited from the likes of learning from Trimble and Bow.
And a certain Craig Gilroy is on the bench, who may well make an appearance. Sean Henry. Connacht just inside the Ulster half.
7.
Well taken by Henderson. Declan Fitzpatrick. Good pass by Porter.
Stop, no. 8.
Jackson. That's gone straight into touch. Well, those are little touches that really can prove very costly.
Your side. It's closer to your side. Yeah. Yeah.
John Lacey's just checking
Here we go. Okay,
the point from where Paddy Jackson kicked the ball, another 3 or 4 metres towards the other side of the field, then he would have taken the line out over to the far side.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
And Connacht have asked for the line out on the far side, where the
Right in the middle. We're not going to split here, Joey.
level with where the ball was kicked into touch.
It's almost too jovial, Jim, for a local derby, isn't it? There hasn't been the usual sort of niggle and spar involved. There's been more chat and laughing than we're maybe used to in this sort of game.
Well, there's still a great intensity, and at the moment that's the intensity of Connacht, particularly their defence. That's just seeing them in front, albeit by a couple of points. Willie Falloon right at the back of the Connacht lineout. Clark gets it away. Parks. Owen Griffin. Well, Paddy Jackson has tackled superbly well. Here's Parks. There's Heenan, the youngster from New Zealand. He's made good ground. Ulster have conceded the penalty. Referees playing advantage. John Muldoon, who's captain Connacht many times. No advantage comes from it, and this is within Dan Parks' range.
Again, Jim, 2 or 3 instances where Connacht taking the ball and using the same pattern coming round the corner, but looking with intent for that inside pass. They've obviously spotted something in their analysis of Ulster that potentially there's a breakdown around the ruck area. We see it again here, just that inside ball, and they've exposed Ulster and found some holes in there.
But it all came from Ulster giving them back possession when the forwards worked hard to steal the line out.
Yes, that's going to be the infuriating bit. Ian Henderson's done well at line out time, and the ball's gone out and it's just skewed off Paddy's boot and gone out on the full for perhaps a more centrally placed kick, giving his outside backs a chance to chase and cut down the space. May have been more opportunistic.
Well, the sun all but disappeared. The floodlights coming into their own here at the sports ground, which has been transformed in recent years due to the success of this Connacht side. This is a crucial kick. Parks. And he's missed that one. Well, that was a fairly decent chance for Dan Parks. But the scoreboard hasn't been troubled, so it's Connacht 7 and Ulster 5, and 28 minutes gone.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. A reasonably simple opportunity, albeit on the wrong side for Dan Parks, but with the wind helping, and he pushed it really rather than normal proper strike on it.
Jackson. All the way down to Parks. Matt Healy. John Muldoon. Tackled by Henry and Wilson. Ulster have slowed it down. Well taken by Ulster. Great work at the breakdown by Ian Henderson. Amazing strength from this enormous young man. Porter. Change of call by Paddy Jackson into Luke Marshall, but he's run into the Connacht first line of defence. Now they need this quickly, Ulster. Henry at outside half. Taken by Craig Clark. Ulster have got the penalty. Porter. Darren Cave with the dummy. Ulster still moving forward. Still advantage being played by John Lacey. Whipped away well. Jackson. Now to Payne. From Michael Allen to chase. Back goes Carr, and they will come back for the penalty.
Henderson's been very impressive in the opening half hour, both carrying ball and tackling and in his line out work. But again, very noticeable, Jim. Ulster struggling to generate any quick ball against one tackler and one man going in to try and force the Connacht defender off the ball. Ulster maybe sending 3, 4, 5 men in at a time, albeit in this occasion they got the penalty, but there's really no platform for Jackson and Luke Marshall to attack off.
Well, they've opted to go for a goal. Paddy Jackson will attempt to put Ulster into the lead for the first time in this game. Dan Parks having missed a not too difficult penalty attempt just a couple of minutes ago. Jackson has had one kick at goal. He's missed with the conversion of Michael Allen's very well taken try.
Thank you.
Jackson now with 4 Irish international caps to his credit. Still only 21 years of age. Came on against Canada on Ireland's short tour to North America in the second of the 2 tests. So this to give Ulster the lead with just over half an hour gone. And he's missed that one as well. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's not out of 2 for Paddy Jackson.
Yeah, these are the sort of opportunities that Paddy's going to have to kick. Again, relatively simple and straightforward, and he's just, again, pushed it, lifted his head, possibly slightly from the strike.
Maybe just miscalculated the strength of the wind there. It's very deceptive. But 7-5 it stays. Connacht will be pretty relieved. Ulster showing a few signs of coming back just as half-time beckons. Parks will give this an awful thump, and he has done. Taken in by Porter to Jared Payne. Bit static. Now that's a good kick by Payne. McIlwain underneath it. The referee's playing advantage. It was chipped forward. Was there a man taken out there? Touch judge has got his flag up, has he? No. He's going to have a look at that, I think.
Just have a look upstairs to make sure, okay?
I think there's a bit of foul play there. Now, was there somebody blocked? Declan Fitzpatrick came across.
It's okay, please, no foul play. It wasn't taken out after the kick.
Was there a trip there, Tony?
Possibly.
Did you see a trip?
I'm not sure if it was a trip, Jim. I think Ian Henderson was actually airborne in terms of trying to charge it down, and both of them have collided. But you have to say, Matt Healy's been very impressive again this evening. He's going to try in both the opening games. He's looked full of running.
I don't think that angle's a very good. I don't think there was anything deliberate there.
There's nothing in that, really, is there? Declan Fitzpatrick asking him nicely to back in his feet.
There's no Oscar for that. If this is a penalty, it will give Connacht a great chance to kick themselves deep into Ulster territory. This again is probably the better view. There was a little chip. Up went Henderson. Did he leave his inside leg trailing a little bit?
I think that'll be harsh. It's a 50-50 call, really. I think we'll take the line out and start again.
TMO is Kevin Beggs who make the decision. Line out's been given. And David Irwin sitting for David Irwin pretty quietly and sedately claps his hands in approval.
White ball.
He would never have been known to leave a leg out, Jim, would he?
Well, certainly not his own, somebody else's. Rob Herring also shortened the line out. That's better. Muller as ever. Porter, bit loopy, but it worked. Jackson's given it a nice little dink. Duffy, well taken. Great support play by the trailing Connacht forwards. Marmion. Parks decides to run it.
Advantage. Yeah.
Advantage to Ulster. That's gone loose. Here goes Rob Herring trying to close down Marmion. Herring's done the right thing. Good application of the laws of the game. Let the man gather the ball and then stand before making his tackle. But it has meant that Connacht have secured possession. Nobody at scrum half for Connacht there. Michael Swift sets it up.
Stay up.
It's a good position this for Ulster if they could even force a turnover or force Connacht to kick into touch. Connacht taking it on. There goes Swift. Marmion. Well, they've worked that well, Connacht. They got men back into the right position. That's a great piece of defensive play by the men in green.
Yeah, it was. Great play by Marmion. Going down on the ball and then just that half look to see if he can get back on his feet. It's Herring who makes the initial kick. He also takes credit here as well, Jim. He's clever enough to let him get back on his feet and then put him on the ground. But Connacht have worked their way out of that nicely. 2 or 3 phases, then a good relieving kick by Dan Parks.
Great turn of speed by Rob Herring. He started his rugby as a flanker. That's gone loose, and Ulster managed to grab it, and it wasn't straight anyway. So I was about to sing Rob Herring's praises in terms of his pace, but one of the fundamental jobs of a hooker is to throw the ball in straight.
That's a difficult throw. That's into the prevailing wind. It's also going across him as well, and perhaps not the right call there.
6 minutes remaining. So a wee slope in the second half, which will, well, not just the second half, the first, but also had the wee slope in the second half.
Okay. Crouch.
Hasn't been much given these front rows, and they've been very good in terms of their taking instruction from the referee. There's a sensible bind. Everybody on the jersey. Connacht have dug in. Ulster trying to squeeze them round a little bit. Up pops the Ulster front row. That's gone round, and Ulster forced the turnover. So it's an Ulster put in, and there's time for Ulster before this interval.
Yeah, there is. I think John Lacey has to take some credit here this evening for his interpretation at scrum time. Both teams have listened to him intently from the start, and it is a fair contest. Ulster have done well there. I think there's only been 1 reset, Jim, and 1 free kick, I think, as well, which is probably the least out of any game we've seen so far this year.
It's one of the games that I watched last night. There was reset after reset and free kick after free kick.
No, step up here. Come up here. I want that straight, please. I don't want an angle. Okay?
He's certainly leaving both sets of front row players in no doubt as to what he's looking for.
Thank you. Crouch.
Chris Henry on the open side of the flank, supporting His loose head prop, Tom Court. Is there room on the narrow side for Nick Williams to make a bit of a sortie?
I agree. We need you a little bit closer. He can't reach you from there. Okay? His arms are short, okay?
Well, there's a bit of a smile in the face of John Lacey. He is referring to one of the prop forwards on the far side as having short arms. Which is very handy when you don't want to buy a drink in the bar afterwards. 4 minutes to go. Connacht 7, Ulster 5. Porter's got to get it in. It's the John Lacey. Good strike by Rob Herring. Old-fashioned hooker strike. Good control by Nick Williams. Now they have to use it. Jackson. Where's this going? Oh dear. Well, these are the things that cost you games. You know, it's a simple, straightforward pass from an outside half to a centre, and the ball was behind Luke Marshall.
It's just that foot behind him, and the pace at which Marshall's hitting that as well. If it's not absolutely spot on in the breadbasket, it's going to be very difficult to take.
These are the things you do in the training paddock, Tony.
Yeah, they are. Simple, and that's the sort of thing that's going to crack Neil Doak and Johnny Bell up especially. You know, that's a simple set-piece move that should come off effortlessly time after time.
Whilst they've had their chances in the last 10 minutes to take the lead in this game, and they haven't taken them.
Bind. Set.
Now, can they get a bit of pressure on the Connacht scrummage?
Get up.
Not until it sets properly. While having been very laudatory about the scrummaging, it's all gone to blazes.
Yeah, the last two have been a bit scrappy again. Tom Court's claiming a lack of buying here from Nathan White in this one, so John Lacey's come round this side to keep an eye on it. But I think overall the scrum has been very good. It's nice to see the ball getting back into play quickly, and I think that it's helped to make it an interesting first half.
Just off camera, Kieran Marmion having a little glance to see where Dan Parks is, and Connacht have one or two players out that far side. I'm not sure that they want to try to run it, but you never know. Ulster trying to get the squeeze on, force another turnover. Marmion, now it's Parks.
Stop it.
Jared Payne puts her into reverse and gathers it nicely. Good field position by Payne.
No, stop.
And that's for Duffy. It's coming down outside the 22. Well taken by Duffy. Gets it to Parks. Fionn Carr. All the way wide to the New Zealander Heenan. Couldn't get it away. Spilled forward. Connacht crowd, I think, claiming that it came off an Ulster hand.
Yeah, I think Connacht is sort of.
I think he's going to. Sorry, Tony. I think he's going to have a word with his touch judge.
Potentially, I think Heenan's gone for the offload, Jim, and it's come off an Ulster arm, which has made it look as if it's gone forward when actually it's come back off. I think it's Tom Court.
Well, Ulster have got the benefit of what to us didn't seem much of a doubt. Willie Falloon having a word with the referee.
Okay.
David Irwin coming on. Declan Fitzpatrick's in a bit of trouble.
It's settled.
It looks like he's leaving the field. I'm not quite sure what the problem is there. Ricky Lutton coming straight on.
I think we saw Declan down, didn't we, after Dan Parks score initially for Connacht, and maybe he's been carrying something, but he's certainly walking off under his own duress, but not entirely happy with things, obviously.
Well, he's had an injury-strewn career with Ulster. Ricky Lutton is on. He's really benefited from full-time training and full-time scrummaging coaching and a lot of gym work. He's altered his body shape considerably, and he's improved his scrummaging under the tutelage of Alan Clark to a terrific degree.
Bind. Set. Yes, right.
So unless he gets the cadence just about right, Connacht trying to swing that round and give away the penalty. Now there is time for Ulster to go into the corner. Paddy Jackson may decide to go for the post because it certainly is just about at the limit of his range, but not impossible.
Top right. Kevin.
They're asking about, is the clock right? And we're into the last minute according to my timepiece. And Connacht came round from an offside position, and Ulster have decided that there is time for the line-out, or the referee has decided there is time for the line-out.
Credit to Ricky Lutton coming off the bench cold and stands up first scrum. Connacht trying to put a bit of a double shift onto him, and he held his ground well.
Yes.
Last set piece of this first half. Nick Williams takes. Muller goes into support. Herring adds some support of his own. Ulster churning forward. This is much better stuff, but it's all about keeping possession. Porter. Well taken by Jackson. Inside to Michael Allen. Strong enough to ride the tackle, but it's good Connacht defence. Porter. Well taken by Jackson. Darren Cave. Well, Connacht are getting men to the breakdown quickly. Away it goes to Rob Herring. Good tackle by Sean Henry. On the narrow side, here goes Henderson. Great bruising work by Henderson, and he may well have spilled that forward, and he has done. But that just shows you the kind of threat that here Henderson produces. But alas, it hasn't produced a score for Ulster, and they will go into half-time perhaps just on the front foot, but behind as far as the scoreboard is concerned, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's been really an untypical Irish derby, Jim. There hasn't been any of the niggle and the fight that's usually there. It's been very clean. There's been some good rugby played by both sides. I think Connacht will obviously be the happier. Ulster have room for improvement. It's a case in the second half of being able to generate some quick ball, minimising the mistakes and completing the passes. And I think if they can put those three things together, there's no reason why they can't take the points down here.
Well, as the points stand, there's only two between them. It's Connacht 7 and Ulster 5. Ulster out first, Connacht just keeping them waiting, and I think there's been a change in the Ulster backline, because wearing number 23, the first time for quite a few months, Irish international Craig Gilroy is back on the Ulster side, and he's replaced David McElwain on the right wing. They had an Ulster replacement just before the interval. Declan Fitzpatrick went off. Not quite sure what the state of the injury is. Ricky Lutton has come on, and Connacht, well, we'll tell you if there's any changes, but I don't think there are going to be any changes in the Connacht 15 from the one that ended the first half. 7 points to 5 to the good. Wind is still swirling around here at the sports ground in Galway, but it is a lovely evening in this, the city of the tribes, on the very west of Ireland, one of the most delightful venues for all sorts of things, not just rugby union football, but it's rugby union football that we're concentrating on. So also with Craig Gilroy back in tow. Nasty groin injury curtailed his appearances up for Ulster at the end of the season, prevented him touring with Ireland. And here goes Paddy Jackson, his international colleague, gets this second half away to a start. And Connacht through former Ulsterman Willie Falloon, taking the ball straight into the heart of the Ulster defence. Parks trying to put a bit of width on it. The aggressive Muldoon, winner of 3 Irish caps. Parks, winner of no fewer than 67 for Scotland, finds, as always, a very good touch. Just having a glance at another Ulster replacement, which went almost unnoticed, but then he's not all that big. But I'm sure Paul Marshall will forgive us for not spotting him running out instead of Ian Porter. Connacht have made a replacement. Ali Muldowney has come on wearing number 19. Good take by Henderson. Marshall, lovely pass by Marshall, and this is his namesake, Luke Marshall. Paul Marshall again. Good missed pass. Here's Allen, has a good strong run. Also getting there quickly, that's what they need to do. Paddy Jackson, Henderson spins away from 1, 2, 3, 4 tackles. Better stuff by Ulster. Jackson, Cave, sold a nice dummy. Presents the ball nicely. Paul Marshall again. Dummy from the skipper Johan Muller. Court leaves it. Marshall. Jared Payne. Henderson glides away from the first tackle. Makes ground. Paul Marshall. Knocked forward by Ulster's replacement scrum half. Sean Henry sets it up. Marmion. Parks. Fionn Carr against Tom Court, who shepherds him toward the touchline. And that's good Ulster covering, and they may well have forced the line out.
Yeah, again, nice start in the second half, Jim, from Ulster in terms of going through the phases, and it's the beast of the young man Ian Henderson who's just chewing up the yards. But Paul Marshall's slightly unlucky there. Henderson's gone through, beaten the tackler and set the ball back beautifully, and then it's been a decision to pop the ball up to the scrum half at the last minute, whereas Marshall's gone in looking to play the pass from the ground, and the knock-on has ensued.
Rob Herring. Henderson. Just about the full package, Henderson. Roger Wilson, the scrum half. Makes good ground. The Connacht hand in there, but it was taken away very quickly. Paul Marshall, Lutton waits. Marshall looking for the narrow side.
Get out of there, please.
Tom Court. Tackle was by Nathan White. Paul Marshall again. And Ulster's handling, letting them down yet again. Parks taking no chances outside or inside his 22, and he's put in a fantastic clearance kick.
Again, simple elementary mistake. It's Ricky Lutton that time spilling the ball, probably leading Jim with the ball as well, so the ball's more likely possibly to come out. You get the feeling that, it's 7-5. The first score in this second half is going to be imperative and potentially match winning for whichever side comes up with it, in terms of either giving Connacht some space or getting Ulster back in the lead.
Well, you can't afford to give any side, particularly Connacht at home here in Galway, possession. Good challenge by Connacht, and they've won the Ulster line-out. Marmion, Parks. Steps inside. Marmion again. Owen Griffin. Good covering by Ulster. Picked up by Muldoon. I think Muldowney has come on for the New Zealander Craig Clark, who's only played 40 minutes. Parks. Robbie Henshaw. Seen very little of him. Crowd saying that was a high tackle. Referee having none of it. Ball still there for Connacht, courtesy of Muldoon. There's an Ulster hand in there. Marmion on the narrow side. Good work by Connacht. Muldoon, and again Connacht in possession and in a good position in the field, and they've given away possession. And good work by Tom Court at the breakdown.
That's more like it from Ulster, getting in there, slowing ball down. Connacht again, Jim, pressurising the side of the Ulster ruck, the pick and go element, trying to drag more defenders in. Ulster trying to sacrifice that space at the minute and fanning out, and Connacht are really trying to go through the heart of the ruck.
Well, for the first time in this game, we're getting a little chorus of stand up for the Ulstermen, and that has gone into touch. And Ulster will get the line out, so a good kick by Paddy Jackson, in fact a 60-metre kick by Paddy Jackson, and Ulster will have possession, and they've got to get this line out right, don't they?
Yeah, the line out's been good tonight. Rob Herring's been in very reliable all season, with Ian Henderson tonight being the main target. But again, it's important, as you say, Ulster get the ball and stay down here, get in that red zone and don't leave without some points on the board.
Move Nick Williams to the front of the line out. Muller, Paul Marshall, Paddy Jackson, Luke Marshall. No way through that Connacht defence. The tackle was by Parks. Quicker ball. Here's Nick Williams. And Connacht have taken him off at the ankles. Jackson does well. Back inside to Payne. Lovely work by Payne. Payne is still going. Can he stretch? Can he get it down? He's over the line. Referee's having a really good look. He may well go upstairs. And Jared Payne pretty close to the first try of the second half. Well, Muller and Payne exchanging high fives or medium fives, but is it going to be 5 points?
Well, that's some of the set piece play that we talked about beforehand. Great hands through the Ulster backs, and Payne decides the line's his at the taking.
I think it's held up by Zero, so you tell me otherwise.
Well, Duffy and Marmion were there, and the question is, did he get that down? And from that angle, he didn't get it down. And the Ulster side, well, have not retreated to halfway. So I think between them, Duffy and Marmion have prevented Jared Payne from scoring a try. And that angle there is not just inconclusive, but I think it is conclusive actually, because I don't think Jared Payne's got that down.
No, but again, nice play from Ulster, good width in the pass, decoy runners moving the ball into space. Jared Payne showing how good he is with ball in hand in terms of being able to ghost past defenders and hold defenders, Jim, at the same time.
Well, lovely inside pass by Paddy Jackson. This fella makes it look so easy. He ghosts through defences and strong enough, well, not quite to get the ball down, but strong enough to get over the line. Alas, Willie Falloon, the former Irish A international, former Ulster flanker, is leaving the field, and the formidable New Zealander George Nawupu, man born in Christchurch, has come on to the back row. Ali Muldowney has gone into the second row.
Bind.
That's the 5 metre line, and the Ulster's put in.
Steady.
Lutton on the tight head side for Ulster. Good solid straight back by Ricky Lutton up against the 29-year-old born in South Africa, Brett Wilkinson, who's had a couple of games for the Ireland A side, or the Irish Wolfhounds.
Yep.
Marshall just having a little look to see where Paddy Jackson, his outside half, is. Craig Gilroy is poised to come into the line if required.
Steady. Yes,
Yes, 9, says the referee, and it's gone in. Williams looking for the pickup. Good Connacht scrum. He's got it away to Marshall, who bumped into one of his own men, but no advantage from it. That was a good Connacht scrum. Jackson tries to retrieve the situation. Somebody will have to go into the outside half position. Taken on by the aggressive Henderson yet again. There's a Connacht man is all over that. It's Naupu, Paul Marshall, Roger Wilson. Swift tackles him. Marshall, good switch. Here's Payne again. Good pass, well taken by Craig Gilroy. Solid, aggressive stuff by Gilroy. Still 5 metres away, still good defending by Connacht. Ricky Lutton has to make it secure, and he does that. Paul Marshall. Now it's Nick Williams. And again, they've got him round the ankles. Marshall gets it away. Good take by Jackson, that was knocked forward. Referee playing advantage to Ulster. Paul Marshall.
Hands away.
Fionn Carr made the initial tackle. Well, you'll have to come back for the knock on. Was that deliberate, Tony?
I don't think so, Jim. I think he's gone off his feet with 2 hands. It's called the TMO. Maybe he's going to have a look at it and see, but I think from my point of view, he's gone with one and he's been able to chase it to try and regain. So, don't know. I think the Connacht man will feel hard done by if he's penalised there.
I don't need you 10.
He's called for the time off, and he's asked the TMO, Kevin Beggs, to decide whether or not that was a deliberate knock forward. That was a lovely pick up by Jackson. Well, some people might say yes, some people might say no. If it's no, then it's going to be a scrum to Ulster.
The penalty was for the advantage is over though. Okay?
Well, I'm not sure that was deliberate.
It wasn't deliberate.
What a great take on those toes by Jackson. Not deliberate, so is the decision. So it's going to be an Ulster scrummage. 8 minutes to go. And the second half, it's been all Ulster. But they haven't been able to squeeze across that Connacht line.
I think the potential here for Willie Falloon's replacement, Jim, could be quite serious for Connacht in the second half. He's been a real thorn on the Ulster side in that first half at the breakdown. They're going to have to rejig their back row as well now, and potentially without that effective open side that Willie has done in the first half, Ulster with Chris Henry might just get in the upper foot here.
Interesting, Ulster split in the back line. Good straight back by Ricky Lutton. What a good piece of scrummaging. Williams at scrum half, taken in by Jackson. Cave gets it away. Michael Allen looking for a second, and very close to it. If he can get the ball down, Connacht are trying to hold him up, so Ulster have to try to keep the ball in possession. They still have it there. It's very close to the line, and the referee says no, and it's been held up, and that might be a scrum to Connacht.
Yeah, Michael Allen again, very, very abrasive. Now, that ability to cut inside, bristling with energy and intensity, and he's done well just to even keep his feet and not be forced into touch here. The cavalry arrive in behind, but you have to give credit to Connacht there. Nearly every one of their backline in there managing to keep it up, and Ulster just managed to spin it at the end, but don't have the ability to get the ball down.
Well, in the act of trying to score the try, the ball was held off the ground, so it's going to be a scrum, and it's going to be an Ulster scrum. Now, have they the wherewithal in the front 5 to push Connacht back over the home sides line, or maybe even force a penalty try? Good long bind by Lutton, and then he shortens it. Connacht trying to get a squeeze on. That's a good Connacht scrum. What a great lift. Ulster in all sorts of trouble, and Connacht have turned that one round. Great defensive scrum by Connacht.
Fantastic.
The most important scrum of the evening.
Absolutely, that's 2 inside the last 2 or 3 minutes. Jim Miller going over in this other corner, but Ricky Ludden just, again, it's important the back row stay down here and push. You see Chris Henry just getting wheeled out of it. Nick Williams goes in to try and fish the ball away, but big credit to Connacht there. Brett Wilkinson applying the power.
Well, Ludden certainly got himself into the right position, but the Connacht effort was terrific. Chris Henry, of course, was penalised a week ago for helping the scrum in the front row, which he shouldn't have been doing. So he was very conscious, I'm sure, about not committing something similar this week. So we're half an hour to go.
Stand up. I agree. That's fine. We go again. Want you to closer, boys. You can't bind. Can't bind on this side, same as you. Come on, let's go. Let's closer.
Pretty affable in there.
We won't have a problem. Let's time it now, Captain. Crouch. Bind.
This time it's Connacht's put in. Now can Ulster get a squeeze on the opposition ball? They certainly can. That's a good shot by Ulster in retaliation. It's and Ulster have got the penalty.
Under pressure.
Connacht collapsing under pressure.
3 down under pressure. Yeah.
Isn't it nice though, Jim, to see a real contest at the scrum? You know, both sets of front rows and both props in particular have been given a chance to really have a cut at their opposite number.
Yeah, there'll be grizzled old gentlemen like Uncle Sid Miller be rubbing his paws at that. That's why he played rugby. So Ulster have gone for touch, interestingly. Or have they gone for the scrum? No, they've gone for touch. And again, it's all about getting the call and the throw. And they've got the call, they've got the throw. And Connacht, I think, might just have snaffled that. How did they manage that? Well, once again, a litany of Ulster errors. And that's going to go into the arms of Michael Allen. What a very good game he's had. What strength by the young man. Marshall, Jackson, good take by Wilson. Darren Cave makes good ground. Look at the way Jared Payne got himself into the right position. Here he goes again. Couldn't really risk the pass to Craig Gilroy. Paul Marshall, Jackson, bit congested in the middle of the park there. Connacht have got to get away. Marshall, Nick Williams, clumsy by Williams, and Connacht give away the penalty. And it's very kickable. And surely Tony Ulster must go for the post.
Yeah, I think the points have to be the first option here. But again, it's building the pressure, Jim. It's having the confidence to keep ball in hand. I think last week against Glasgow we saw too many both unforced errors but also silly kicks where we're actually kicking the ball away. Jared Payne's made a nice break on that occasion where he's found himself numbers down, but he's fought for that extra half yard. But also very good support by Craig Gilroy here, getting in and cleaning the ball out whenever we were numbers down. And it's just a case of building the pressure in the opposition 22. The penalties are starting to come now. Connacht are giving away 2 or 3 in quick succession, but it's important that Ulster can get themselves in front.
Well, he's missed a couple of kicks at goal in the first half. The conversion of Michael Allen's try and a penalty just before the interval.
And your one there, you straight there.
And again, it's Paddy Jackson to attempt to put Ulster to the lead for the first time in this game. Pretty respectful silence here in the sports ground in Galway for Ulster's Paddy Jackson. That looks pretty good. And Paddy Jackson gets his first successful kick of the evening. And it's a kick that puts Ulster into the lead. About 15 minutes gone in the second half. And Ulster ahead by a single point.
Just nice and relaxed. Took his time up to it, hit it nice and sweetly. It was never really in doubt. Now it's important to regain this kick-off and let's play the game down in that Connacht half.
Parks has given that plenty of height. And it bounced once. Michael Allen just had to make a call there and he decided not to play it because he would have got caught and bundled in to touch himself. So good decision by Allen. Ulster about to make another replacement. Warming up as number 19 Lewis Stevenson. And one wonders, will Henderson leave the field or will Muller leave the field to allow Henderson to move into the back row?
number 8, guys.
And Nick Williams is going to leave, which means Roger Wilson will move to 8 and Henderson will go to 6. So off goes Nick Williams, and on comes number 19, Lewis Stevenson. So we'll have a look at the revamped scrum in a second.
Hey, Greens, move, please.
Herring. Well, Stevenson will certainly increase Ulster's line-out options, but Muller's won it. Outside the 22, Marshall. That's a good kick by Marshall. Fionn Carr's underneath it. Gavin Duffy thought about the kick. Owen Griffin. And it was Matt Healy, George Nuupu. Oh, Roger Wilson has it on a vice-like grip, but Nuupu's done well to make the ground. Marmion, Parks, Carr in off the wing. Swift. Quick release by Connacht. Ali Muldowney. Wonderful tackle by Michael Allen.
He's really stepped up to the plate again tonight, Jim, hasn't he? He's been very effective in everything he's done. That certainly doesn't look out of place. It's just important, again, Ulster just nipping back into the 22, into the Connacht half. Sorry, the wind almost looks to have changed direction here slightly, almost favouring Ulster if we look at the flags across the ground. So perhaps Ulster have to take more advantage of this wind in the second half to contain Connacht within their own 22, own half.
Chris Henry won that. Jackson, oh, straight through, look, Marshall, there's nobody with him. He's got Cave there, well taken by Cave, didn't quite have the legs. Ball back on the Ulster side, Paul Marshall, Payne, Jackson for the try. Sweeping movement, wonderful first time break by Luke Marshall. And Payne is ever in the right place. And the scoring pass taken with aplomb by Paddy Jackson. And Ulster really have struck home at the heart of Connacht.
That's more like the timing between 10 and 12. In the first half, the passing was slightly out of kilter. Tonight, that's straight in the breadbasket on this occasion. Marshall goes through, Cave does well, doesn't quite have that turn of foot, but on that occasion actually throws the ball back. Marshall's there quickly, and again, good hands from Jared Payne. And a comfortable score for Paddy in the right-hand corner.
Well, that was pretty breathtaking by Ulster. And having failed to make the combination in the first half toward the end of it, Paddy Jackson put Luke Marshall through a big hole in the Connacht defence, and he took every advantage, and the result was a try by Paddy Jackson, who's now attempting to convert it to put Ulster more than a converted try ahead. That looks good from here. Flags go up, and Paddy Jackson, like Dan Parks in the first half, has converted his own try, and Ulster, from being 7-5 down at the interval, and now find themselves 15-7 up.
Just shows the ability and how nice it is to have a fullback that can slot into that first receiver position. Jared Payne knew exactly what he was doing there. Swift hand transfer to his out half, Paddy, who scores in the corner.
Stop.
Paul Marshall took it well. Kick skewed off his outside of his foot. Carr, good sidestep. If you look at Michael Allen, he has, apart from scoring the try, really put himself about this evening.
Move away now.
That's Jake Heenan, who we haven't mentioned for quite a while. Parks, Ulster trying to get up quickly. This is Robbie Henshaw. Won 2 caps for Ireland in the North American Tour in the summer. Good work by little Paul Marshall, and Ulster get the penalty.
Rob Herring, I think, with the turnover that time, Jim. There's a different intensity in the Ulster defence now, isn't there? They're stepping forward, they're making the first time tackles, they're putting the man to the ground, and more importantly, they're getting the third man in there. The first man who's arriving at contact, apart from the tackle and the tackler, is a man in a white shirt, and now we're starting to evoke and get some of these turnovers.
Well, I wonder what Joe Smith, the new Irish coach, formerly of Leinster, and Les Kiss, who coached the side in North America, will be making of all of this. Are there any hands being put up who weren't included in his match day squad? It's a pretty ambitious kick for Paddy Jackson. It's just about a couple of metres, if that, inside the Connacht half, but maybe he feels the breeze is behind him.
Yep. Okay. They've been pretty good overall, so I'll have a look. Okay.
Really hard to judge what way the wind is blowing, but I think it's in Paddy Jackson's back, more or less. So the wind is blowing all the way down to Galway Bay, and can he do something similar with the ball? That's a good strike. Get over, you rascal. Just faded to the right-hand side, but certainly got the length and everything else.
10. So, time off. 10.
Oh, is the referee going to have a word with Dan Parks, or is he being replaced? I think he must be being replaced. Yep. He's going off, and Craig Ronaldson is coming on. And he will slot into the outside half position. That's a very interesting replacement by Connacht, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's almost a sign, Jim, of intent that what Connacht are doing at present time isn't going to be enough to win this game for them. So Pat Lam's showing a bit of caution to the wind. He's decided to make a change in the pivotal position and try and get Connacht really back into this game.
Well, he's brought on a man who this time last season was playing club rugby with Lansdowne in Dublin. This is his first competitive appearance for his new province. George Nwopo. Not the greatest pass in the world. Matt Healy won't thank him for that. And he's been seized upon by a couple of Ulster forwards. One of them, Ricky Lutton, but Connacht have managed to get it away. And Ulster trying to squeeze them into touch to force the line out. They will get the line out because Marmion has found his touch. Oh, it came back infield. Play on, says the referee. Luke Marshall not quite sure. There he goes. Gets away. Here's Payne. Jackson, Roger Wilson. Darren Cave. Back inside to Craig Gilroy, who appeared from nowhere. Good presentation by Gilroy. Paul Marshall. Better stuff now from Ulster. Here goes Ian Henderson.
Away!
Connacht told to get away. Jackson. Rob Herring. Oh, rode the tackle beautifully. All the pressure coming from the visitors. Well taken by Wilson. Marshall again. Cave. Tackled by Griffin.
Yeah. Stay there now.
Marshall.
Tackle, move! Play the ball line. He's not interfering.
Marshall. Jackson. Inside to Allen, who runs into the formidable figure of Swift, but he's made it available. Narrow side thrust by Marshall. Big Lewis Stevenson, the replacement.
Contact. Stay.
Marshall looking for a runner. Missed out Paul Marshall. Chris Henry was the man who took it on.
Play advantage off their feet.
Connacht off their feet. Referee playing advantage to Ulster. That'll bring a penalty.
That's more like it, just building the pressure, sucking in defenders. One thing that's very noticeable, Jim, this evening, how difficult is Luke Marshall to bring down with ball in hand. He's just built in that ilk of O'Driscoll and Darcy, low centre of gravity, attacks the ball very, very hard and very flat to the line. And even from receiving that last kick, he manages to get through the first defender, find Jared Payne yet again on his shoulder. And Ulster linked the ball together nicely. Very evident Roger Wilson's playing a much bigger part in the second half, both in terms of his carry, but also in terms of his defensive work around the ruck.
Well, Mark Anscombe and Jonathan Bell and Ulster's director of rugby, David Humphreys, will be a lot happier about the display in the last 10 minutes or so. I think Roger Wilson has gone off the field and Robbie Dyack is coming on. Paddy Jackson, and he's landed that one, and Ulster now go further ahead. They have scored 13 unanswered points in the second half, and having been 7-5 down at the interval, they're now leading by 18 points to 7. Robbie Dyack has come on. Connacht have made a replacement in the front row. The former New Zealand under-19 international Rodney Ayew has come on, wearing 17. Paul Marshall, oh, good strike. And Connacht have made another change in the front row. Ronan Loughney,
the middle, please.
The replacement tight head prop, has come on as well.
Let's go, Green. Let's go now.
Sean Henry, who had to come on in the first half because of an injury to Jason Harris right. Toing and froing at the line. It's gone loose. Pulled in by Ulster. Marshall. Jackson trying to keep the lid on things. What a good strike. That ball is kicked very awkwardly for Fionn Carn for Connacht. And Paddy Jackson, that's the best kick from hand of the evening.
Yeah, it's just beautiful, isn't it? Great pick off by Rob Herring at the back. Simple, quick, effective ball. Nice option from Paul Marshall to find Jackson with a great strike, but the wind is definitely altered. Ulster very much have it at their back now. What they should be looking to do is, as you say, just to contain Connacht within their own 22.
15 minutes to go. Ulster leading by 11 points. So Connacht outside losing bonus point range at this stage. And having started the afternoon with 2 league points and somewhat ignominiously placed at the bottom of the table, Ulster will certainly move up by a number of places if the scoreline stays as it is. Taken on by Heenan, the young New Zealander, and Ulster just going off their feet, I think. Ronaldson, that's a good strike with the left foot, and it's going to be a Connacht line out. Ulster, I think they're bringing on another replacement. Kyle McCall coming on to win his second cap, which would indicate that it's Tom Court who's going to leave the field, and indeed it is. Rodney Ayew and Sean Henry having a little confab. There's Kyle McCall in the scrum cap, socks down round the ankles as ever.
7.
Back on the Connacht side. And also in the middle of all that, but he's got out of it. Lewis Stevenson, Ulster trying to drive forward, keeping the pressure on Connacht. Marmion, Ronaldson. Around came Carr, slipped away from Gilroy. Connacht's 10-metre line. Marmion again. Ronaldson. Good dummy. Lost forward. Referee plays advantage. Michael Allen. Advantage is over. Robbie Dyack in support of his wing three-quarter. Lutton leaves it. Jackson. Payne. Lots of Ulstermen out wide. One of them is Craig Gilroy. Has a go. Good offload. Payne. Beautiful work. Lewis Stevenson not ready for that clever little inside pass, unfortunately for Ulster. Good to see Craig Gilroy playing rugby again.
Yeah, it's lovely to see him back, and there's a real twinkle in his eye and twinkle in his step, Jim. You can see him here. He's looking for the space, making the ball available. Lewis just not able to second guess what Jared Payne's going to do, but Ulster had a very sort of kickable option there, and Jackson decided, looked up, played what was in front of him, saw they were numbers up, and decided to transfer and go wide.
Be an injury to an Ulster player on the far side. I think it's Michael Allen who's had an outstanding game, but it was good work by Ulster all the way through. Just about 12 minutes remaining. Well, we mentioned at half-time that the first score of the second half was probably going to seal this game, and that exactly proved to be the case.
Yeah, it's been very, very professional by Ulster in the second half so far in terms of their work rate, their intensity, but also their accuracy, Jim. I think that's the bit that we were crying out for at half-time, and they certainly got that right in the second half.
2 tries in the second half for Ulster. Also, incidentally, on 3 tries, so 1 more would give them a bonus point. We forget about Michael Allen's first half try.
Steady. Yes, right.
No, that's not true. They'll get 2 tries, I beg your pardon. Ulster penalised at the scrum. 2 replacement props on. Ricky Lutton and Kyle McCall. Ronaldson thought about the kick, clever change of mind. Gavin Duffy's come into the line, takes it from Henshaw. Good covering by Ulster, both Ulster centres in there. That's good covering work by the visitors. and they've held Connacht off the ground. And what a fine piece of Ulster defence.
Yeah, brilliant. Quick early call by Connacht in terms of the change. There was a call of safety, which is obviously an override for them in terms of changing the decision to kick for touch and to go wide. But all the backs have piled in. There's Chris Henry in as well, who's famous for his choke tackle. But it's just the intensity of Ulster in the second half, Jim. They've really stepped up to the plate at the contact area and have bossed Connacht in the second half. It's great to see.
I'd actually like that a bit closer from both of you. Okay, you can barely reach it.
Well, 4 brand new props and one replacement hooker. Niall Annette, not yet released from the Ulster bench to play in the middle of the front row, so the referee will have to go through all his instructions in terms of scrummaging.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
These new jerseys, very hard to get a grip on, as you can see there from Ricky Lutton trying to grab onto a well-filled jersey of Rodney Ayew. That's a very good Connacht scrum. Robbie Dyack has done well to present it, but Connacht have driven right over the ball. Kyle McCall couldn't win it on the ground. Away by Connacht from an excellent scrum. Not finished yet. Ronaldson on the loop.
Stay on your feet now.
Marmion. Ali Muldowney, formerly from Glasgow, recently of Exeter. Ulster get it away. Here goes Gilroy. Chip and chase. Referee's just saying play on. He wasn't obstructed. Carr, it's a long way to the Ulster line, but he'll do his best. Gets it away now. Ulster trying to keep the pressure on Connacht. Robbie Henshaw going nowhere. Chris Henry grabs him, gets him into touch. Ulster line out.
Yeah, another great turnover by Ian Henderson just in front of the commentary box here, scrapping in the side. And again, quick hands. Possibly the kick could have gone a little bit further, but Ulster playing with the right intent. They're putting the ball in behind Connacht, really trying to turn them, get them going back, and using full effect of the wind, trying to pin them down in their own 22.
Another Connacht replacement coming on. It's the South African Danny Pullman, who played in the game last year. Gavin Duffy has gone off, so I have a feeling that Robbie Henshaw will go to full-back.
Yeah, we'll wait for you there then.
Well, that's a side Ulster didn't want to see.
Good.
Michael Allen going off, and that means that Ulster's last back replacement is James McKinney.
Thank you. Let's go.
So Ulster will have to push somebody out to the wing three-quarter position. I think Luke Marshall is moving across to play on the left wing.
Stay in.
Lewis Stevenson got the initial touch, and Ulster secured possession after a bit of a scramble. Ricky Lutton. Good presentation. Connacht foot came through. Rodney Ayew swallows up Marshall. And this is Luke Marshall in off the wing. And he's left that behind him. Kyle McCall tries to take it on, helped by Chris Henry. Marshall, here's Henderson. It's a handful. Ulster penalised at the breakdown. Well, into the last 10 minutes, in fact, only about 8.5 minutes remaining. And Ulster look to have the points in the bag, but one never knows.
It's important here for Paul Marshall and Paddy Jackson to make things as comfortable as they can for James McKinney in this last 10 minutes. This is a bigger an ask of him as he's had in his early fledgling career. There's a mistake by Luke Marshall on that side, but it's important that they just break him into the game gently here. Don't expect too much of him or put too much pressure on him.
Good strike by the replacement outside half for Connacht, Craig Ronaldson. Well, that was a bit unfortunate, having gone straight into touch from the kick. It was always going to be Connacht's line out anyway, so Ulster really haven't lost anything by that.
Is your man on? All right, okay, good.
Marmion's gone off. It's the replacement scrum halves come on, and it's O'Donoghue. And Niall Annette has come on for Ulster. Well, just about all the replacements on, I'm glad to report. This is Sean Henry. Well taken by Connacht. O'Donoghue has a go himself. Good defence by Ulster. Nawupu. Connacht need to score a couple of times to win this game, and who's to say they're not capable of doing it, and they're going about it the right way. Taken on by Muldowney. Connacht 10 metres from the Ulster line. Big test of Ulster's defence now. There they go again. The whoopoo has made such a difference. Seemed to be knocked forward by Connacht. Muller trying to winkle the ball back unceremoniously with his foot. It's going to be Ulster's scrum, and Connacht will put the squeeze on here, Tony.
Yeah, they will, Jim. They've been very effective at the pick and go around the ruck time, and it's something that Ulster have found difficult to actually defend and counteract as well. And Connacht can count themselves quite unlucky there with the knock on coming. And certainly the Ulster line was at their mercy.
Guys, come on, we've got clock off, let's go.
John Lacey asking them just to hurry up. Just over 6 minutes remaining, and 11 points between them.
Green, wait for the ball now, please. Okay.
Must have used every single one of the replacements.
Stand up. It's too far away. You're too far away, okay? Come on. Okay.
We have to come round to see what's going on this side between Rodney Ayew and Ricky Lupton.
Get down. Crouch.
And that, like Lupton, part of the emerging Ireland squad in the Tbilisi Cup in Georgia earlier in the summer.
Set.
Watch for the Connacht squeeze and the Ulster put in. Free kick against Connacht for being too anxious.
Yeah,
all they had to do was wait, Tony.
Absolutely, right call. Again, John Lacey's been very effective. I think we've said that all night. He's refereed the scrum very well. But there's been consistency, Jim, and that's all that both sides can ask for. They know exactly where they stand.
This has to find touch, and it has found touch. That's a very good strike by Paddy Jackson. 13 of Ulster's points this evening. Is there time for Connacht, though, to come back and even salvage a losing bonus point, which they probably feel they would deserve? Rodney Ayew is having a word once again with Sean Henry. Good challenge by Ulster. Back untidily on the Connacht side. O'Donoghue, replacement scrum half, tackled by Annette. Really physical stuff in there. Connacht in possession. That's gone loose. Ulster showing Connacht a little bit too much open space. Ronaldson. Quicker ball, O'Donoghue. Clever pass back inside, nearly worked. Tackled by Ricky Lupton. O'Donoghue again. Ulster told to get their hands away, and they do just that. Rodney Ayew, Sean Henry and Muldoon helping. Michael Swift, Connacht's captain. Ayew again, who's been so busy. O'Donoghue, that looked forward. Muldoon took it to ground. Less than 4 minutes remaining. Also looking for a turnover here, and they give away the penalty. I'm pretty sure Connacht will go for touch.
Yeah, I think they will. And it's just also just have to keep their composure here. The defence in the second half has been good. It's been well marshalled by Paul Marshall. But again, it's just a case of listening to the referee. Don't overcommit. If the ball's not on to be won, make a stand, take a step back, let Connacht have, reset the line, and make sure that press comes forward.
John Lacey very quietly said to Ulster skipper Johan Muller, have a word. In other words, just cut out the penalties on the ground. Ulster's discipline has been pretty good all evening, but that's a very good kick by Connacht and by the replacement outside half, Craig Ronaldson. Connacht looking a little bit on the weary side.
Don't take out the support. Okay, he's watching.
Connacht have split the line out. 5 men and then 2 at the back. Might go to Muldowney, it does. And down, and there's the good catch in the drive. That's straight out of the training manual. But can they put it into even better effect? They're driving solidly for the Ulster line. This could be interesting if Connacht can squeeze over. They need to get 2 tries probably. Held up. Good Ulster defence from a terrific Connacht drive. And that's going to be a 5-metre scrum.
Yeah, nice shift pattern there from Connacht, throwing the ball to the back. Ulster deciding not to compete and stay on the ground, but great body height from Connacht as well. Getting in round the ball, driving it forward. Looked for all the money as if the try was going to come there as well.
Well, he's actually gone upstairs and has asked, is it a try, yes or no, but the ball is well held up. I think John Lacey's initial prognosis was absolutely right. He did actually signal that the ball was held off the ground. Now, does that mean that he's decided there was no try, or he's decided to overrule himself and go upstairs? I think he's just, it's a belt and braces approach.
I think he's just making sure that it's the right call, and he's entitled to, and it makes sense. The game is still winnable for Connacht and quite close, so there'll be a scrum back to Connacht. Also a big scrum here, Jim. They've been under quite a bit of caution.
Yep, and it is indeed the 5 metre scrum. And it's a Connacht put in. Now, do they feel they're sufficiently strong in the front five with the two pretty hefty replacement props to put the squeeze on Ulster's relatively inexperienced front row? Kyle McCall with only one cap, and Niall Annette and Ricky Lutton with 9 or 10 each.
I give you one free one, both of you. Let's go again.
Well, both front rows decided to stand up, and the referees allowed them, as he calls it wonderfully, one free one. Lutton on this side against IU. Good bind, in they go. Trying to get a squeeze on. Ulster will try to whip them round. That's untidy. Well taken by Chris Henry. Seemed to be offside. Referee's given a penalty against Ulster. Connacht have the option of the scrum again or going to touch, and they'll probably go for the scrum. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, I think they'll take the scrum. I think they can say maybe not a win here, Jim, but certainly a bonus point at stake, possibly for Connacht. But I think they feel they've had the edge in the scrum in the second half, and specifically, as you mentioned, with quite a young and inexperienced Ulster front row, they'll certainly be trying to get one up on them here.
Ulster still have Rory Best to come back, and of course John Afoa, and not too far away from playing again are two up and coming prop forwards, Paddy McAllister and Adam Macklin, into the final minute of this game. Perhaps the last set piece. Connacht need a try to secure a bonus point. Ulster should have the 4 points in the bag.
Let's go again.
John Lacey not happy with his own call. Having a word with Kyle McCall as Ian Henderson. He's been voted man of the match by the host broadcaster. Michael Allen, for our money, might have been in contention for that. So we've drifted into the red zone in terms of the clock. Over 80 minutes played. Last set piece of the game. In it goes. Connacht looking to put the squeeze on. Down it goes. The referee may ask them to reset because no play has ensued from that. So he's entitled to ask them to reset. Well, a very vociferous bunch of Ulster supporters just to the left of our comedy position have realised that for the first time this season Ulster have secured a victory, and they've doubled their points in terms of the league table. Started with 2, now they've got another 4. Connacht know this is their last chance to achieve something. That's the better Ulster scrum, and my word, they needed it. Connacht get the secondary drive. It's gone out. O'Donoghue throws it back inside, taken on by George Noupo, and Ulster determined to hold on to the big New Zealander. O'Donoghue gets it away to another New Zealander, IU. That was Jake Heenan trying to take it on. Good solid Ulster defence. Connacht still there. Michael Swift, most capped player in Connacht's history. No sign of it coming back. Good offload once again. There's a good drive by Ronan Lockley, the Irish international prop. Connacht right underneath the Ulster post. Can they get it back? Again, Connacht drive for the line. Again, Ulster make the all-important tackle. Still there for Connacht. Ulster have a hand in there. Referee's given a penalty against Connacht. And all that work from the men in green to secure a losing bonus point hasn't simply happened. I have a feeling it was Ulster's replacement hooker, Niall Annette, went in along with Lewis Stevenson to make a very, very important tackle, and swept away by James McKinney. And after 2 losses, Ulster have finally got their first win of the season. But my word, Tony McWhirter, they had to work hard for it.
They did, Jim, but I think that last stanza of play has just exemplified Ulster's second half performance in particular. To a man, they stood up and they counted. Mark Anscombe and David Humphreys, I think, will be absolutely overjoyed. There'll be a few beads of sweat removed from the brow after that, but I think they've been clear victors, they've been deserved victors, and it's been a heartwarming performance, and I think a massive step up from the first 2 as well, and there's more to come obviously in the next few weeks.
Well, 7-5 down at the interval, 13 second half points by Paddy Jackson have given Ulster the first win of the season. And the final score here at the Sports Ground in Galway is Connacht 7 and Ulster 18.